Welcome to Dark Hearts and True Crimes, where we peel back the curtain on the most disturbing tales of love, betrayal, and violence. Tonight's story is one of the most haunting cases of captivity ever recorded. A tale of a young woman's unimaginable strength and the terrifying silence that kept her hidden for years. This is the story of Colleen Stan, the girl in the box. It was a bright spring day in May 1977. Colleen Stan was 20 years old, vibrant, free-spirited, and full of life. She was hitchhiking from Eugene, Oregon to visit a friend in Northern California. Back then, hitchhiking wasn't taboo. It was part of the culture, spontaneous, adventurous, and usually safe. So when a young couple with a baby offered her a ride, Colleen felt oddly reassured. A woman and a child? That's usually a good sign, right? She couldn't have known. She had just stepped into a car driven by a monster, Cameron and Hooker. What started as a road trip turned into a nightmare within hours. Once they were far enough from civilization, Cameron pulled off the road. He held a knife to Colleen's throat. Her heart must have stopped right there. But what came next, no one could have predicted. Cameron placed a homemade headbox over her head, a wooden, soundproof contraption lined with carpet to muffle her screams. The box plunged her into darkness, disoriented her senses, and sealed her fate. He brought her home to Bluff California, to a small house he shared with his wife Janice. What Colleen didn't know was that this wasn't Cameron's first crime, but it was going to be his longest. From that day on, Colleen was no longer a free woman. She was a prisoner. Cameron built a coffin-like box, just large enough for her body to lie in. That's where she would spend up to 23 hours a day, hidden beneath his and Janice's bed. He called her his slave. He beat her, starved her, hung her by her wrists. But his cruelty didn't stop with physical torture. Cameron broke Colleen mentally, piece by piece. He invented a fake organization called the Company, a shadowy, omnipresent network that monitored his every move. He told Colleen that the Company would kill her or harm her family if she ever tried to escape. Over time, she stopped fighting. She stopped asking, and she started to believe. Janice, Cameron's wife, was complicit. At first, she had agreed to let Cameron have a sex slave to prevent him from abusing her. But as the years went on, Janice would help keep Colleen captive, caring for her like a strange, broken pet. And yet, Colleen showed astonishing resilience. She found ways to endure, to pray, to survive. In a cruel twist, as Cameron gained more control, he began granting her more freedoms. He let her go on jogs. He took her to church. He even allowed her to visit her family, all while still under psychological control. And that's the part that baffles people the most. When Colleen visited her parents after years in captivity, they had no idea she was still being held. She smiled in photos, told them she was happy, and then she willingly returned to Cameron, because she still believed in the Company. She still believed escape meant death. It would take 7 long years before the spell broke. In 1984, Janice, broken by guilt, consumed by shame, finally told Colleen the truth. There was no Company, no assassins, no threats. It had all been a lie. And just like that, Colleen was free. She walked out the door. No police raid, no dramatic rescue, just an exit. But the story wasn't over. Janice turned Cameron in. She testified against him in exchange for immunity. Cameron Hooker was arrested and charged with multiple counts of kidnapping, sexual assault, and torture. At trial, the jury was stunned by the details. The head box, the underground coffin, the years of silence. In 1985, Cameron was convicted and sentenced to 104 years in prison. And as of now, parole has been denied. Colleen Stan survived one of the most horrifying ordeals imaginable, not just physically, but psychologically. She went on to live a quiet life, away from the spotlight. She married, had a child, and tried to reclaim the years she lost. And as for Janice Hooker, she disappeared from public view, changing her name, never held legally accountable for her part in the horror. This story is about more than just cruelty. It's about the power of manipulation, the strength of survival, and the silent terror that can live inside the walls of an ordinary home. You never know what someone has survived just to stand where they are today. This was the story of Colleen Stan, the girl in the box. thank you for watching Dark Hearts and True Crimes. If this story moved you, please subscribe, share, and help us keep these victims' voices alive. Until next time, stay safe and trust your instincts.